Hi, welcome to Engineering 160A, Studio Session 1.1, LabVIEW Basics. Well, what is LabVIEW? LabVIEW is an innovative graphical programming system designed to facilitate computer-controlled data acquisition and analysis. A LabVIEW program is referred to as a VI, or virtual instrument. Shown below is a classic piece of laboratory hardware, an oscilloscope, which is used to measure and visualize electronic signals. What we will be able to do with LabVIEW is mimic the functionality of hardware with software. For example, create a virtual oscilloscope. When creating a VI, you will notice two windows which appear, the front panel and the block diagram. You can think of the front panel as the outside or casing of your virtual instrument. This is where the user can interface with your device through on-screen knobs, buttons, and visual displays, just to name a few things. The block diagram, on the other hand, is the guts of your virtual instrument. This is where you will wire up all your components and function blocks to achieve a desired task. This is where the true programming happens. Back to our oscilloscope example. If we look at the hardware, we see on the outside there is a screen to visualize the electronic signal and a multitude of buttons and knobs to measure the signal and change how the signal is displayed. Below this, we see we can create a front panel which mirrors this functionality. Now let's take off the outer casing of the oscilloscope. There are many electronic components wired together which achieve the task of acquiring the electronic signal. The user of an oscilloscope should never have to interact with the wiring unless something is broken. Analogous to this is our block diagram shown below, which has many graphical components, or what we call function blocks, which are wired together to achieve a desired task. The end user of the program, or VI, should not need to modify a block diagram once completed. To illustrate these basic concepts, let's write a simple VI which acts like a calculator that can only add and subtract two numbers. Conceptually, we would like to have a user input two numbers, then have the addition and subtraction of those two numbers displayed to the user. Let's open up LabVIEW, which can be found on your desktop. If the shortcut does not exist, you can also go to the Start menu, All Programs, navigate to see National Instruments, then look for LabVIEW 2013, and then open up LabVIEW 2013 SP1 32-bit. When you do that, the splash screen will begin, and then you will see a screen that welcomes you where you can create a new project or open an existing project. We're going to want to create a new VI, and therefore let's select blank VI. Now that we've selected a blank VI, you see, as we had mentioned, two windows pop up. The one on top is our front panel, and the one on the back is the block diagram. I can easily switch between the front panel and the block diagram by either selecting the window as a standard operation, or as a shortcut I can always hit Control E. So Control E will allow me to toggle back and forth quite easily. Let's start to build our VI. Let's maximize my front panel window. So recall that the front panel is used for user interaction. So here's where we will need to create two displays, one for the addition of the two numbers and a second for the subtraction of the two numbers. If I use the right-click mouse button, I will see that I will get a menu of options. So when I'm on the front panel, this will be all the components that can be used for user interaction. So I want some sort of numeric display. So I can navigate my mouse down to the numeric palette, and I can put my cursor and I can see here's a numeric control. That means I have the ability to control or input a number. And here is something called a numeric indicator. So that is going to indicate a number, and that's what I want. That's the display. So let me grab that, drop it down, and now you see the numeric is highlighted in black, and that means I have the ability to edit the name of it. So let me call this the addition. Okay. Let me grab a second display. again, numeric indicator, and drop that one down. And now I will call this the subtraction. What you'll notice is once I put a display or numeric indicator on the front panel, if I double click that, it will automatically pop up the block diagram and show me the icon in the block diagram format. Alright, so now I have the numerical indicator that's going to show the addition of the two numbers, and I have the numeric indicator that should be showing the subtraction of those two numbers. In addition, on my front panel, I want the user to be able to input two numbers. So let me right click again, go to my numeric palette, and the first option there is a numeric control. Let me drop that down. Okay, and let me call this number 1, and I will grab a second control, and I will call that number 2. So these are the two different numbers that the user has the ability to input. And the user can input these on the front panel by the up and down arrows here. Or also I can highlight the number and put in any value I so desired by typing in the number and then selecting enter. Alright, well, let me double click on one of these numbers, and again it'll bring me directly to where that icon is placed in the block diagram. So here I have number 1 and I have number 2. So whatever value the user puts in on the front diagram, that will be translated back and be stored in this function block. The block diagram is the location where all the programming takes place. So here is where the number crunching is going to occur. So how do I get LabVIEW to add or subtract these two numbers? Well, on the block diagram, again, I can right click and this will bring up the functions palette. And this function palette has many different functions that are already preloaded and stored in LabVIEW. Well, I can look and I can navigate down here to the numeric palette, and here I see a bunch of math operations. I have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, so on and so forth. Well, again, I want to add two numbers together. So let me get this add function block. So I select it with my left mouse button, and then I hit my left mouse button again to place it onto my block diagram. If we zoom into the addition block here, and I place my cursor in the middle of it, you can see that there are 3 orange dots that appear. 2 on the left side and 1 on the right side. Well, if I hover my cursor over the 2 that are on the left side, the top one says X, and then I look, the bottom one says Y, and then on the right, that node says X plus Y. So what this function block is going to do is if I put any number into this upper node, it will then add that to whatever number comes in to the bottom node on the left side, and then the addition of those two will come out on the right side. So again, I want to add number 1 and number 2 together. So let me go ahead and hover my mouse over the right side of the number 1 numeric control. And I'll see that one of those orange nodes appears, and my mouse cursor changes to this wiring symbol. Okay, so that symbol looks like a coiled up wire. If I left click the mouse, then as I move away, you'll see that I will be creating a wire. And I can go ahead and hover my mouse over to the input side node on that addition block and right click. And now an orange wire appears. The wire is orange, meaning that it is a number. And we'll get into all the different data types in LabVIEW as we progress throughout the course. Okay, I could do the same thing with number 2, right click, and then put that into the node which was Y. So now the node that was on the right side of the addition block, it says there X plus Y. That's going to be the addition of number 1 and number 2. So I wire this up to the addition numerical indicator. Similarly, let me do the subtraction. I right-click to bring up my functions palette, navigate to the numeric section, and I can find a subtract block. Left-click to place down, and now I can subtract these two numbers. Okay, well again, let me hover over. I have x in the top node, what they're calling y on the bottom node, and then I look at the output and that says x minus y. So this block is going to have whatever value comes into this node here is then going to be subtracted by the number that comes in at the bottom node. So I want to subtract number 1 or number 2 from number 1. So in order to do that, I can hover my mouse over the wire that was created, and again I see that the cursor changes to that spool of wire. Right click and I begin to create a wire, and I can place that into the X node. Similarly, I can grab number 2 and place that into the Y node, and what will come out is X minus Y, or number 1 minus number 2, and I can wire that up to my numeric display, which is subtraction. I can press Ctrl E to bring me back to my front panel. Now I've created my simple calculator VI. In order to run the program, there are two modes in which we can operate. The first is a simple run. This will run the code one time and one time only. In addition, next to that, we have run continuously. This will continually run my code forever until I decide to stop the program, which will be this abort execution button when the program is running. So let's see how this works. Alright, here's my front panel, and again I have the ability to add in two numbers. So let me take 5 for number 1 and the number 1 for number 2, and I can hit the run button, and you'll see that the addition of those two numbers, I get 6, and the subtraction 5 minus 1, I get 4. Exactly what I wanted. And since I hit run, this happened once and it happened very, very fast. If I wanted to run this program continually, I'll come up here, hit run continuously, and now the program is always operating. And now the user can change the value with the controls and increase 6, 7, 8, and in real time the addition and the subtraction of those two numbers is going to occur. To stop the program, just come up and hit abort execution, the red stop button. So there you have it, your first simple VI, a basic calculator which has the ability to add and subtract two numbers. Let's keep this for future use. To save this, let's go down to File, Save As, and store it in your F drive. And let's call this VI Simple